Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our Langrisser mobile series. And right before we start, please give me a minute. I would like to review some of the games. Just one second. And one more. There we go. So, the time is finally here. Apex Arena playoffs have now closed, and I am very happy to say that, yay, I made it. I gotta say, this season was absolutely ridiculous to me. During Sunday, there was a point where I basically had 1,974 points, and so the last slot had me at position 254. so I thought, well, if I really want to play, I probably have to risk it all now, and I ended up playing a final match. But there's been a lot of games that have been happening after, or rather before that. So I thought maybe I'll take the opportunity to review all of those games as well, since it's always fun to go back. And we can end probably with the victory, I guess, spoilers. But I can avoid telling you which is the lesson. So I can actually show you what the path was to get us there. Alright, before I reveal everything, I think if I do this, now you cannot see the match results. Now I just have to find, when did I actually play? No, that's not it. That looks way more like it. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. This is actually a show match. Hey Dennis. Yeah, I'll update that one day, I promise. This is actually a show match that Micho and I played once that he was streaming, so I'm going to try to stream from my side to see what are the results that took me in this direction. So Micho obviously has also a very aggressive style that I have to be careful of, especially with Vanna being the new inclusion. His first picking of Ares leads me to a counter pick of Juggler. I usually have to choose between outranging whatever long legs opponents have, but in this case there was just no other way on how to do this. So I go directly into a Liko pick because this will allow me to pretend to be some form of tank healing strategy. Opponent goes for Hiei, consolidating all sorts of evil things to do onto me. But since this was a show match, we both were thinking, let's try things out. That's why the Verna pick is right there as well. And I am trying to build up a team that will be eventually able to counter what is going on. So I'm gonna try to grab some debuffs, especially because opponent has no healers remaining. And with that, we will see what we can do. I end up with a Sheltier pick here, and opponent sees an opportunity to go Ainz, has to please the crowd, and goes indeed for it. Holy over Lancer Arian. I have a problem with Lancer Arian that she sometimes doesn't take enough damage, so she will not end up below 70%, so I find it sometimes hard. Therefore I ended up choosing Holy, even though the attack is actually less. So what happens here? I know that my opponent is going to run, especially with just that Breeze trigger, as fast as they can, as fast as possible, to do anything that they want. So I just throw down a mass heal, make sure that if anyone comes, they'll at least have to stay in the bad terrain. Faction buff for the units there. Verna offers even more movement speed, even though the Breeze is probably enough for Hiei to hit anything he could ever desire. And I realize here at this point, someone's gonna die to Hiei, so might as well just put a faction buff on Juggler, right? Then Hiei decides to go for Sheltier. So in an attempt to try to save it, but for me, trading a Sheltier for Hiei would not be a problem at all. And actually gets really lucky because I almost lived through that. Now I know that this AoE is not hitting Hiei, but Hiei only has 2 dodges. So if I can somehow overcome these 2 dodges, Hiei becomes just a normal unit for the rest of the game, and I have so many AoEs and so many debuffs that I'm pretty sure I can do something about this. Now I did the math. Actually, this was such a big mistake for me. I did the math on Ares on the previous turn, but as soon as he moved Verna over there, I should have calculated that Ares was able to reach me, because I can show you. Oh, the pause. Right, so before the movement of Verna, which I absolutely missed, 1, 2, 3, 4, I was just staying exactly out of range of Ares. But with the movement of Verna and the buff especially, Ares was able to reach me no problem. And then I thought I should have protected with Juggler, but honestly, losing Liko was not a big deal. At this point, she had already used everything she was gonna do. And the fun thing is, by trying to attack into Crystallize Reflection, he got so far down that actually ended up dying to the fixed damage. Okay, we can actually play it again. So damage reflect. Ares himself dealt the damage way too fast. That's why he took the reflect damage. Goes for the AoE. And I believe what happens here is double fixed damage. What happens here is ends the turn, gets the damage, gets actually the debuff of actually fixed damage 20% of your health, and then takes the damage of that and dies. So that was quite lucky. But obviously he was dead to anything else. Basically, just moving would have him dead. So I decide to try and gamble for a silence here. I know that this damage is incoming, and there's really not much that I can do. So I try to go for a gamble, and maybe some debuffs would try to stay, but he has so many act against that he just gets to go. And I think this is where Michu makes a mistake. I think killing Rian straight up could have been way more effective. But it gives me the opportunity to go into big juggler mode. I make sure to try to kill as many things as possible, even though Hiei survives. But I know I have first turn next turn, right? No? Yes. Because Bozo had already moved. So all I had to take care of is Hiei, and then he became the target to hit Ainz as well. And Ainz tries to do whatever he can do. But we're still talking about a Dogo here, and Dogo is like, okay, I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna heal my people up. Very happy times. Takes extra damage from... Okay. So he took extra damage from the Rian AoE. And now I am no longer in first turn position, but I'm gonna try to protect people. Well, at least that's what I think. So opponent goes for this. And I forgot what I did. Was it a sleep time? No, it was not. So I thought I want to take the hit with Juggler for whatever Verna can do. But what I didn't realize, or what I failed to check, is that I actually had a movement down debuff. So as you can see, plenty of errors. Opponent goes to destroy Bozo. Bozo ends up very dead, but this only powers up my Rin even more. And there's basically nothing else that the opponent can do. At this point, he just goes ahead and dies. Cool. That was a fun match. Michu was streaming, and I was actually on the stream. We talked about it. So we were just cracking jokes over what was going on. But then we started playing. The problem is that I was still unsure in my position. I was at 1971. So I thought one more match, especially because the weekend was the last weekend, and I had to get the 1 win per week. I was right there. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna give it a try. I also want to practice. I'm still rusty. There's a lot to do. So Akaya gets banned every time. Verna will be probably an inclusion for the playoffs, but for now he's still 3 stars. Does not get to show up at all. I'm surprised Verna even killed it. I think it's because Bozo wasn't wearing the ground troops, so he was flying instead. That's basically my mistake. So an opponent picks a juggler, I pick an Ares, especially because Akaya was banned. Otherwise I pick Akaya first. Ares still has a ridiculous amount of reach. I just make sure that the opponent cannot paint the ground, and I can. I pick a Hiei in order to try to pick off possibly a Liana, especially if I get a Breeze trigger from Liko. And I see an enemy team forming, so I make sure to ban everything that could potentially be Mythic. Because Mythic, but no buffer. Alright, then Noemi is picked. Gotta remember her ranges, so that's the only tricky part. I still have a cute Darkness team form, so I pick Bozel and Shaltier in order to provide some damage. So we start playing a little bit of cat and mouse, because I want a Breeze buff on any of my units, and of course I get absolutely nothing because RNG. And opponent has to slowly work their way up to me, because Ares is still capable of a strong punch, but the question is always like, can I really kill something? Can I really kill Juggler? And that's the tricky one. I'm happy to see the RNG on Gale used now, because obviously we know that no one triggers 2 Gales in one turn. I have to keep my Bozel away, because I don't want the dog to just jump and grab everyone with his AoE. And I keep also... sorry, it's not about the dog, it's about Rian. Rian would have been able to turn 1, jump in, and AoE everyone. So I move Hiei back in a way that if Rian wants to attack, he will have to hit people. I paint the ground a little bit to try to deter people from coming. And honestly, at this point, if they want to engage, I still have so much distance on them that it will be still quite the okay position for me. I decided it's time to activate Hiei. There's not much usually that he can do. So if I can snipe a kill on Noemi, for example, it will be very positive. But Noemi, of course, because of the way that the triggers work, she survives because of her own garment. But what she does indeed give me is the opportunity to just kill her on the next attack. So what I do is I charge on Juggler, trying to reduce as much health as possible, and voila, I found a kill. That I did not expect, but here it is. And I know that for sure, because of the next AoE, there will be a kill here. Rian will be very happy about this, but I don't mind. At this point I have done a lot of damage. Okay, so first AoE comes. I'm hoping for no clock. And no clock comes. But I have a Shalt here, and of course I would like to try to get some damage done. But my god, that was literally 0 damage on that Liana. Now I know that I could have used AoE here with Liko, but the thing is, I would have only been in reach to heal people, and that's not really what you want to do with this. I think starting here is a series of mistakes that we will try to analyze in real time, but it's really gonna be fun. Go for AoE, hoping for some silences here and silence here in case they don't have protection, but they obviously do. Liana goes for a Dispel, does not get the silence off, so all they can do is just stand still like a cool person. I get to heal a lot. This is especially important because a lot of damage already came in from Rian, and now he's basically out of skills to attack me with. Now I still have my Shaltier movement. I try to heal off a little bit out of this, but I basically get no health back, which is super sad. And then I actually lose some more. So that was really sad. And I thought, you know what, if you're gonna die against something because of Rian's AoE, and as well attack this Bozel. So all in all, Shaltier could not deliver. Another AoE comes. I have silence protection here, so that's not really the most important thing. I get to snipe a Bozel and move away, which is usually quite important in mobility games, especially on water versus flyers, because then you get to do cool things. So now I know that I will be giving up first turn priority again, and I have to prepare my Bozel to be able to do many things. And here opponent really gets me. I allowed this sleep to happen, this gospel to happen, and therefore my Bozel wasn't able to use his sleep. Very sad. And then I still do more mistakes here because I choose to go for a sleep, which is not enough for a kill. But I could have also used the sleep as a dispel spell rather than anything else. Bozel dies immediately. I try to hit Rian. Basically it takes almost no damage because the garments are still on. Yes, I'm getting messages, that is true. I will check them later again. I try to go for a kill on Rian, but I don't get it, and after this point it gets really hard. And by really hard, I mean like literally impossible. So I do an AoE hoping for the best of the ground painting. And Of course I get attacked. I did not realize that this ability would be up again. I did not think that so many turns had passed. But then I had to start thinking of my own possibilities. I could either untransform, which is what I'm doing here, and hope that the AoE kills Liana. But I actually had a non-healing from Rian, and I did not get to dispel it in time, so I am basically very, very dead. Liana at this point doesn't care, suicides in order to heal, and the opponent goes for the clocket and defeats me. So that was a little bit sad. I made plenty of mistakes here that could have prevented this loss, especially once I killed the juggler. There could have been many, many ways in order to win, but Noemi really, really helped in this match, even after her death. Let's see if I can shut down the sound from here. Okay, then we go back. And on to the next match. So now I had a loss, right? At this point I am absolutely not going to make it, so I have to keep on playing. And keep on playing we shall. I think I told my wife at that point, like, well, I lost now and I like playing for fun, so let's just play. And here we go. I see Rosenciel. I guess Rosenciel is the new doggo of Moondoggy. I see a Rosenciel, I ban, opponent goes immediately for a healer because I could potentially block them out of heals otherwise. And they have enough tanks that I could not ban them all out. But voila, I am actually not interested in tanks at all. I get my Akka, opponent grabs Hilda. I ban tile painting and long legs as best as I can. I got my Rian and Akka, absolutely devastating pair. Opponent goes for Florencia, starts to see the signs that I will be doing some AoEs. Hey Rupert. Yeah, I did get some strong plays. I pick my Egbert. I see that if healing is going to be a problem, as long as I keep Liana out of her summoned unit, then Egbert can come through. Opponent goes for Julia. Now we're talking about a level of healing that's a little bit ridiculous, so I go for Doggo. Someone has to tank that Julia in case she wants to hit someone. And then opponent goes for another tank because that's basically on the only things I left. I think I would have feared Ledin more, because he just basically takes someone out of fight, right? And I would rather keep all of my units in fight. And because opponent has a ridiculously low number of legs, except for double again, I guess, I am able to send people forward. And I know an opponent can absolutely send Julia with a rush forward, you know, to try to kill any of these people, basically. I think she can actually maybe not kill Shaltier if she doesn't use the super skill. Like, if she uses only a ranged skill, it's sometimes not enough for a kill. But at this point, I think, you know what, we're all in, so it doesn't really matter what opponent does. I'm gonna shoot stuff up. Here opponent does something very cute. He actually destroys the image, but at this point the image was not doing anything, but it gave me a wolf. And always having wolves is very useful. Juggler makes sure that no one is in trouble, and then the breeze comes here, and basically these two units are in absolute danger. So what I do here is, I thought it would be way too dangerous to put Rian here and hit basically everyone. He could have also gone here, but then Julia just goes in and destroys his face, and voila, I have one of my strongest units gone. So I just throw in a unit, I throw in a skill. I know for sure that Rian can hit all of his other skills. I actually brought Fatal Leaf because I don't need to transform. Come on, I have Akka, and there's yet another wolf here ready to die. So I just throw in to gain some stats. I think it's like 4% stats, so I'll take any amount I can get. Hilda goes Hilda and tries to tank even more. And I realize this is a perfect time in order to throw this out. Also, it's a great check to see who can suffer from fixed damage. Gets a silence on Hilda, but that makes no difference. Opponent goes crazy on the idea of killing Egbert, and I am super happy for this because I honestly don't care much about Egbert. And what's more important, this person has now moved. Thank you for the approval of Egbert uses. This gives me the opportunity that if I move Rian here, so I actually, this is the moment where I took a lot of time to think. Rian had the possibility to move to a lot of places because of the movement speed, but here had many good reasons of why to move. I could then go with the wolf here and go with Ayaka over here to give Rian an again to move him over here so that he could act again. So, and in this position, Lancer Landius could not reach, and of course I could get attacked by Florencia, but that's not gonna do anything, and not even Liana could do something about it. So that's the direction I want to go. I know that if I start stacking debuffs on opponents, then it's gonna be a super hard time to debuff, to remove them. So having done this to Liana was very, very effective. Even though a Dispel comes now, I still get to do a lot of nasty things. For example, jumping with Doggo. Actually, the question here goes, what can I do to inflict the maximum amount of damage? And I thought, right now, this person has no chance to get close, even if he were to get dispelled to Julia. So if I cancel Hilda's possibilities, then Julia is attackable. And I have plenty of attacks here. Plenty. So that's exactly what I do. Opponent sees this coming, of course, and that's why they heal over there, and then throw in a sudden strike in order to give Julia yet another turn. So I decide to turn Julia down as much as I can. Fixed damage comes in, the dispels go out, so that's useful. And now I try to hope that I don't leave the healing in, but those are the exact two things that I leave. The immune to debuff from the Gospel, the strategic regroup from the heal that just happened, the battle before battle fixed damage. Basically I leave all the best buffs on Julia and only dispel whatever was not useful. So she goes for an attack, and even though she's a sword without troops, it's a little bit hard to get through on what you could do. So I decide, okay, it's time then to start doing more stuff. Opponent has to move. I still have an extra move because of my again. And here we go. I wanted to make sure that Rian stays under the protection of Juggler, because I'm gonna start throwing as many AoEs as I can. And even if Shaltir dies here, all I get is yet another AoE. Opponent moves Julia back into protection of Landius, so that's slightly a problem. But everyone is now here. Liana is gone, so most of the dispels will be gone if I get rid of this. And Shinji Koi, here we go. This is what I was saving. And yet another clock. That makes me really, really lucky this time. This absolutely helps a lot in the match. Opponents tries to remove as many divas as they can, so the heal will not be disabled on their on their Julia. I suicide in order to try to test how much damage can I get through on Hilda. I deal a little bit more damage, get some healing on myself, but it's clearly not enough. Opponent decides not to attack into Juggler, that makes sense, and I go to punch Hilda a little bit more. Hilda goes to ram Rian, but being a horse makes her really have troubles with that. I see a majestic opportunity thanks to the divine boots of that I put on Juggler. So my Juggler has 4 movement actually. I am able to just circle around and punch the Julia. So of course I don't get the actual kill because Julia is too high health. But a Beast Shock here locks Landius down, and Hilda, I don't think she has the possibility to go protect. So a heal comes in, which is very cute, but I'm still having full control of what's happening here. So, well, Rian says he didn't say Shinji Koi. But anyway, Shinji Koi comes again. Florencia actually dies just from existing, and I put even a slow on Hilda. So at this point, Aka is actually able to do whatever she wants. And you know what she wants to do? She wants to run away. I realized opponent has no heals, opponent has 7 billion debuffs. All I have to do is stay away from this Julia and attack from the billion range that I have with Rian. And if nothing else, from an attack with with Akaya, who actually lasted until the very end. That was super cool. So Akaya brings me multiple wins, but actually Rian is the one who carried in that case. And here we go on to the next game. That was a nice game, right? Yeah, I thought so too. Of course, Rion having clock really helps, but so many units were dying because of the wolves and the kills that I was getting. Oh, sorry. That the clock kinda made no difference. I always had abilities to use, right? Even if it wasn't the 3C, I always had Autumn Leaf, and the other one, it only has like two turns cooldown then. And because people kept dying, I basically had cooldowns up all the time. So clock helps a billion. In this case, I think the game would have gone slightly different only. All right. So this is another cool game that I remember very fondly. Starts with a ban on Zerida, which I guess makes my life very happy because I get to pick Akka. But then I see this Ares first pick, and I have to protect myself, so I go with the dog. Right now, the dog is basically my only way to counter Ares, unless I get a Kai. So in this case, I chose to have the dog. It made me feel safer. Whenever an opponent goes for Hilda, it makes me super happy because so far, Hilda has not affected any of my games in any way. Opponent secures a heal with Florencia, even though they have a billion more. I make sure to remove as many legs as possible other than Ares because, once Ares is not there, I should not worry anymore. Especially everyone here moves 3 otherwise. I know Florencia exists, especially with Hilda. They'll be able to cast rush every game, every turn. But that's very selective and that's very hard to otherwise deal with. I realized that none of these heals are automatic, so Avarna here becomes very useful. If nothing else, it's gonna be an extra AoE or a buff, whatever I decide at the moment. And I know there is a Hilda, but if there's ever an option for a Leon to attack in, that's why I gave him the Angels, so that the counter with the Lancers will immediately kill him. If there's ever an opportunity, the 3C of Leon can just move things around and make me be very able to kill some stuff. Opponent decides to rush as far forward as they can because they know that I basically will have the initiative at any time. And since they made such nice formation for me, even though there's a Florencia here, I thought, you know what? I'm gonna make you use some of your heals already. Because sure, this is an AoE heal, but that actually has 2 turns cooldown. It's 1 more than usual. The opponent goes for a full heal on Ares because they know if... so my Ares is still active, right? He can move even here. If Ares does not have last rites up, my Ares can just absolutely eat him up. And obviously I went for AoE Ares because look at this team, it is AoE happy. So I decided not to engage with Ares and just make sure that everyone is protected by Juggler or Varna. And I actually put Varna here as a bait, and opponent takes the bait very gladly. And maybe even doesn't get a kill, because they didn't have a Twilight Star to poke the last rites. But they do get the kill, and that's fine because Varna already did her job, and her job is to get Ares killed. And that actually worked fantastically. So Leon gets the next kill, and then opponent goes quickly on a rush on Julia because they want to keep the score positive, right? Every time you do a trade, you actually make a strategic movement in chess if you want, and that is you give something up, but you get something in return. And if you can get a 2-for-1 trade, which will be, for example, Julia killing Leon and then Julia not dying, that's the kind of trade that you want to have, right? But for me, Leon has already completed his job, so what I started thinking is, how can I make sure to capitalize on Leon's eventual sacrifice? So the speed is here. There's a very high chance that opponent will attack on Leon. Leon is like very likely to die. So I thought, yeah, that all sounds cool. I want to point out that Julia in this case was not using the horse, but instead an Amazon champion. I am guessing it's to protect against Ares or Leon, because Lances. But I don't really agree with this choice. I think the horses... What you want with Julia is that she destroys things, right? And the horses just simply destroy things. So I leave my Ares ready to go next turn because I know I will have turn priority. My Varna got killed while I only killed active opponents. right? I did the math. Did I do the math correctly? Yes, I did. And then opponent tries to kill Leon, but Leon decides not to die. The main reason for this, I think we can watch it in the animation, is that most hits here are going to the flyers, and melee units, especially lancers and swords, are terrible at attacking flyers. And not only that, but magically, if the angels start above the Clock Julia, yeah. If the angels start above 50% health, they take less magic damage. Ah no, wait, that's always the case. So they take less magic damage. And because the lances are so late at throwing their weapons, Julia has to attack into the angels, which deal less damage. And then the lances are not enough to kill everything else. So that was quite a cute interaction. However, I was absolutely happy if Leon had died, because now I have a plan on how to deal with Julia. She has no gospel, she has no protection, she has basically nothing going on for her. And honestly, all of these two heroes, I don't care anymore. I have a Bozel ready to go, I have a Juggler ready to go, I have an Ares ready to go. So I am full power. Like exit without protection. That is very true. So I get to start with a sleep, and I get a clock. The clock now basically indicates your Julia is never gonna move again. So opponent, please think of a long-term plan. But I start first because they kill Varna first turn, right? So I go for 3C. 3C locks down the people that can move. And I actually did the math, and Florencia was not able to 3C because of the water debuff into Leon in any way, right? So she could move down and go this way, or she could go here and shoot down. Juggler would get hit, healing my Leon, so I was super happy about this. But Leon would always survive. And what's best is she didn't even get to dispel the thing, because she would have to use some support on herself with the Forest Priest and hope to remove it. So that's the coolness factor of it. And this is where I decide, you know what? Thank you very much. I know you're trying to heal your Hilda, but I really don't care about your Hilda. So here goes a silence attempt number 1. I am trying to do this because I also put them at range 3. Sadly, she has silence protection, gets to get a full heal. But you know what? I don't care about that full heal. You know why? Because I'm Ares. I hit ridiculously hard. Ridiculously in the level of, my god, why do I deal so much damage? Anyway, AoE comes, AoE goes. And now it's just Hilda and Florencia, which are completely inconsequential. So opponent runs away, and this is actually the one that got me to my last score. That was the last game indeed. So yeah, I end up at 1992. This puts me in position 188, which is an irrelevant number. But the time when I played this, I jumped 100 ranks. I was 254, and I ended up at 154. So, of course, at the moment, that was not the last slot, but I had to go to sleep because here it was super late. There was still one slot remaining, and that slot threw me down 50 slots, or 30 slots, whatever the number is. But in any case, I knew I was going to stay because there were like 100 numbers in just 10 points distributed up and down. It means not likely that 100 people will play this extra match on the last slot to risk it all. So here we are. We made it to the playoffs, and that's actually super happy times for me. Whew. Okay. I do have one... thank you, Kong. How are you doing, by the way? I do have one surprise for the playoffs, which I guess it's no longer a surprise because I'm doing it right here. With Verna at 4 stars, I am now able to use him without feeling super bad. I think the 4 stars is bare minimum that you have to use, because it's what gives you the 2 blocks. So 3 friendly units within 2 blocks gain the extra mobility. And 3 is really manageable, right? So I thought, you know what, this is the time where I can use him. The cat is doing great. Actually, I have 2 cats. And they have decided that now that they have eaten, it is time to just continue sleeping, because that's what makes them happy. So, what am I gonna do with my Verna? Actually, I don't even have a clue. Like right now, I've set up a Breeze basic set. Like you can see, I think this was Leon's sword a long time ago. I don't even know what I'm doing, but it has 15% attack, so I thought, a nice enchant, let's use it. I'm gonna keep an Iolus because that's the most reasonable thing I find. And a Chief Helmet because if he's gonna be buffing people, might as well give some extra buffs for one turn. Slayer's Emblem, in case I get to do a sneaky attack, I would love to be killing something like Ares. And that will be the end of Verna. Verna uses the bikes, that's what makes him happy. And then 3C if I don't need to faction buff, pseudo faction buff with sprint. And if not, I will do a setup like this that may still allow me to do a quick strike. I need to get kinda lucky, right? It has to be a breeze trigger plus the 2 extra move, plus the guerrilla. I don't know. Actually, you know what? I don't think it's possible in that case. Should analyze that. So has 5, then goes breeze, goes to 7. 2 movement with the bike goes to 9. Yeah, that's actually not enough. So I would need a breeze trigger from Tenio. Plus 3 would allow me to use this without 3C. So maybe in this case, is there another cool skill? I could go with, you know what, with Assault. Got a block healing on someone. Or Smash. Smash is actually pretty good. Smash, for those that are not aware, this is super long ago. It's from original Leon time, I guess. Smash has the very unique unable to guard debuff that does not exist anywhere else. So even if someone has an Overlord's badge, Smash debuff actually goes through. And that's something really important to take care of, because it's kinda invisible. Of course, if you get to catch them off guard and you can actually push the tank 2 tiles away, that's still very strong. But if this guard debuff is not removed, or if you can somehow manipulate the turns to make sure that this debuff sticks, only Gospel can actually stop it. And that is ridiculously cool. So, that is my plan for Verna. He will be replacing someone, I just have not decided yet. But a stealth slot was occupied by Leon, and Leon keeps delivering results. So I will have to see what I want to do. Maybe I want them both. In any case, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this very small review of the last games of the season for me, before the playoffs. And I'll see you next time, probably on the weekend. Good luck.